Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's webinar, E-Rate Season 2017. Ready for it? Sponsored by CapData Corps in cooperation with HighDef 360. Today's presenters, Holly Davis, CEO and founding principal with HighDef 360, and Daryl Brantingham, General Manager with CapData Corps based in the Sacramento area serving all of California and Nevada. I'm your moderator today, Janet Hendrickson, Principal Consultant with HighDef 360. Please send your questions to me via the chat window, and please be sure to mute your phones as we will be recording this session. And with that, I'd like to introduce you all to Holly Davis.
Thank you, Janet. I appreciate it. And good morning, good afternoon to everyone who is joining our call today. I want to thank CapData for having us and on this call to talk about E-Rate and this 2017 season that we are in. And want to actually just give you all some quick background on who I am and why I'm actually one of the people that's here to present and speak to you guys today. So I have been actually working with and participating with the E-Rate program since its first year of funding, which was in 1998. A long time to be working with a program that I know we all find has a lot of complexities and sometimes can be very difficult to understand and navigate through a lot of the changes that have taken place. And if you have been paying attention since 2014, we had a complete overhaul and change to the E-Rate program that was fairly significant. And what it was able to do was change the dynamics of how the funding would come through the USAC organization to actually be presented to all of the schools, libraries, and organizations that qualify as to receive E-Rate funding, to really help have that connective classroom and to ensure that students were having the ability to have that exchange and e-learning environment that is really necessary for today and most especially for building out what we need to have to support those environments in the future. So what I'm hoping y'all will walk away with this presentation that we're going to have today, and I will have you as an audience today for about 20 minutes, and then just a quick introduction that I'd like to have with Daryl here at the end in closing, just to hear a little bit more about some technology. But we really hope your takeaway today is a true understanding of what are some of those things that have changed or transformed E-Rate today, but then also let's talk about what we really need to think about in getting ready for this next E-Rate season. And as you know, we're in the middle of it already, and it has started. And it's going to be getting a lot more busy and especially for you if you're trying to make a decision on what technology to deploy up through the January through March time frame of the E-Rate 470, 471 times. So as you can see or think about what I'm trying to tell you here is very quickly to think about what has happened in the evolution of the learning environment. And if you even think about IT departments and the transition that they've had to make. Before, you had someone who took care of the phone system. And then that had to evolve into where people who took care of the phone systems had to all of a sudden become educated and being able to take care of things that had to do with IT, because we had that evolution of voice over IP that happened. So now everybody wanted to have their phone communications over the internet. And then you think of all the different devices that came out along with the internet. And the whole purpose in the beginning, back when the government decided to create a program for No Child Left Behind, and really to ensure that there was a way to have coverage for all students to have equal learning environments across the United States and U.S. territories, one of the things that they really wanted to make sure that was possible was a way that a mandate that's provided by the government, making sure that children had fair learning environments in our country, would also mean that they needed to support that mandate with a funding mechanism. So when the government provided that funding mechanism through the E-Rate program managed by USAC, they really didn't think that the technology and the change and evolution of the technology was going to be as dramatic as it has been. And especially if you think about the last 5 years, how dramatically and quickly technology has changed. Even if you know in your environment in an IT staff, or even if you're in the purchasing department, you understand that even today procurement paths or vehicles or the ways that you have to go about procuring technology for your schools is not the same as it was years ago, because the evolution and change of that technology has moved so rapidly, it's not even a catch-up game for even the procurement offices to even keep up with it. If you think about even some of the most popular contract vehicles that are out there, like a Whiska, which even has changed its names how many times in the last couple of years, or even the CMAS contract that's here in the state of California. And you think about those purchasing vehicles and how they were not prepared for what actually happened in this evolution, because sometimes they were built and designed around a 5-year plan. You can imagine the new classroom and the environment and the challenges, not only from a procurement perspective, but you as a decision maker for trying to provide that learning environment that is adequate to support the children of our future. And knowing that all of these different devices and the needs that we're going to need, we can't even imagine what is going to be coming in the future. And under the E-Rate program, as you know, it's a 5-year plan that you are designing and building out. And it's a great opportunity for you to fund that infrastructure that the government has made a mandate that they want to change, and they want you to make that change and take advantage of the funding that they have out there for you to go and build out that infrastructure. So whether you need to refresh that network that you have today to be able to support all of the different devices that are now on the market, but even think about the facilitator. Teachers have even evolved. Teachers used to be working with the most complicated thing they had to deal with was an IBM typewriter, which is what I learned to type on in school. And then very quickly, the internet and the wireless access point and the demand for wireless access. It's no longer a nice to have, as we all know, and that's not even the story anymore. It's now more about speed and agility and the ease of use. And how does that teacher facilitate with the devices that are in the classroom today if the network is not capable of being able to support that type of connectivity? And what we also find that is interesting is that if you think about how far behind we are, I don't think a lot of people talk about that, because I know a lot of times, sometimes we even look at some of the school districts or the library systems that are in the U.S. that are in the major cities or even in the rural area, where usually even someone who is from a manufacturer or a reseller, a partner who comes to you as an IT department to support you in helping you really determine what is the best path for you to take into building out that network or to build out all of that, your wireless infrastructure. The rural communities in the U.S. All have had a large challenge because sometimes that they get neglected and nobody's going to drive out to go and meet with them or even bring them that information on that technology. So a lot of those decisions that some of our other schools have to make that are in those type of environments or kind of in what they consider more of a rural area, they're relying on what they can do in research on the internet. Or they're relying upon, hopefully, that they can get on some webinars and get access to that information, helping them really make that key information, get that key information to make that right decision. So if you think about that, we're behind. We're barely in the top 20 from a level of providing that wireless access or that e-learning environment compared to other countries. That is a really huge burden for IT departments to think about that they have to wear on their shoulders on really supporting the facilitator, the teacher, the administrative staff, and the students, but not just the students of today. When you're making a 5-year investment and asking the government to help you fund that program and that infrastructure build, you're asking for your taxpayers to help you make the right decision, but also at the same time, know what you're building today is going to support 5 years down the line before you can do another refresh. So really knowing that there's great funding out there that can really support you, there are a few key things that you can do, and we're actually going to leave you with a checklist today that's going to provide you with some great questions to think about. Now, me having been a part of this program for so long and running many public sector organizations, I've had the opportunity to work with school districts all across the United States and of all different levels and sizes. And knowing that there's some different things that are unique that you can actually help bring that speed, efficiency, and agility to the classroom. And one of the great ways that you can do that is, number one, having the right partner help you evaluate the right equipment and the technology that you need today. And thinking about your growth plan where you need to be. You don't have to have that crystal ball to look down the line and know that maybe students in the future are going to be coming in with 20 different deliverables or ways that they want to connect, and they have to be connected to their network. We don't know what the future there holds. We do know that some of the greatest technology companies that bring us the technology have a serious path that they are going to present to us that we can be prepared for. Right partner is the best start. Having that really good forward-thinking, future-proof technology is the next step. Choosing that right access point that's going to give you all of the things that are going to be necessary to help you support multiple devices. And it's not just about number of devices that you throw into a classroom or throw onto a campus, or even what you put outside to support any type of outdoor learning environment and connectivity. What you need to think about is building the right plan, and you need someone to help you do that. But not only that, think about that it is also the technology has to be able to grow with you and with your solution. So all of these different ways that we need to think about being prepared and being funded through the USAC program. Obviously, the FCC guides, directs, and makes all the rules. But they have made it possible for everyone to have that opportunity to take advantage of this program. Now, if you are curious and haven't looked to see how much funding you have available to your school, we have some resources at the end of this webinar that you can click on some of the links if you would like to have this presentation. We can provide that to you. And if you click on any of the links that we have for you, you can very quickly get into the system and see what you have available in funding to help you fund out your school. But then there's some other things that you can do as well. When we're moving into the this 470 season, if you have not yet gone through the process, think about what you have done before, but then think about what's something new that you haven't thought about doing. You know, the great thing about the E-rate program, as complicated or confusing as it can be, they have done something that is interesting. One, they put everything online, so it's no more paper pushing that we've had to deal with in the past. Two, they've created a new look and feel. If you've been out to their website, they are doing a lot of great things to enhance the program and make it look really good. And then they also have made, they're getting better with the EPC, which if you have anything to do with E-rate, you understand that there's this new partner, this new portal that you have to go to and be logged into, whether you're the service provider or you're the applicant. But have you had the opportunity to work with an actual consultant? So not a consultant like what we do at HiDef 360. We help the service provider understand the program and make sure that they're compliant. But have you thought about hiring a consultant that can actually help you and support you on filing your paperwork, making sure that you're in compliance, help you get through that PIA review, and that's the Program Integrity Assurance. That's kind of like what I always equate it to as like an IRS audit. The only difference in this program is every single application gets audited. So making sure everything you put onto your 470 and that you request is E-rate eligible. And if you have items that you want to add on to your solution, you can have those. You just have to name them as non-E-rate eligible products. But another new thing that maybe you could think about is, you know, not necessarily just having to have that help from a consultant perspective, but some other things you could do as thinking about when you go through the 470 process, you have an option out there when you put out your bid, you can do a down select. And then after you do that down select, you can actually do a demonstration and have, say you down select 20 bidders down to 5. And then you can take those 5 and have them all come in and do a demonstration. And then you can even whittle them down from there. The great thing about doing that is you can actually do speeds tests, capacity. There's a lot of different things you do, and you do an equal playing environment where it's still competitive bid. No one is getting anything special treatment, but you're truly trying to look at the technology to make sure you make the right decision. So any deployment that you do, it's critical to make sure that technology is going to support what you're trying to accomplish. So again, thinking about our time frame where we are now, thinking about that if you start working on that 470, you get that 470 out on the street. You then at the point of looking at what the timelines are for this next year for 471, when you get to select your vendor. You select your vendor. I think I'm pretty certain they haven't made it official, but they have said that the date's going to be February 2nd. and on through March 31st. And we'll all cross our fingers that they don't change the dates on it this year. But what we know is that once you can start selecting that 471 or filing that vendor of choice after you've gone through the bidding process, the great part about that, a lot of people forget this, at that point, once you've named and selected your vendor and filed that 471 and said, this is the vendor that I'm working with, this is who has won the bid, work with that partner. This is where it becomes extremely critical. Make sure that you have looked at your solution that you put out for bid for 470. When you're going to file all of your documents for 471 and requesting your funding, if you work with a partner that is knowledgeable and understands the E-rate program and has the right solutions for you, and you go and you file all of your 471 documentation, you will get through that review process with a PIA much easier and much simpler and much quicker. That way you are assured that you can cut your PO, you can do your install, and you're completely ready for you to roll into that installation time during the summer when the students are out. And then you have an opportunity to test your network, make sure everything is ready to go and rock and roll before you kick off your next year. So things to remember too when you're doing that is that what is eligible, right? And knowing that the eligible products that you're going to put onto that 470 are adequate, and knowing what those services are. There's another link that we're going to provide at the end that's going to give you even more detail as to this. And obviously for what we're primarily concerned about today is the Category 2 product. Now, the reason I wanted to touch on this for a minute, because I know I just talked to you a lot about what you're thinking about for, the 470 and the 471, choosing the right partner. Think about who can provide you all of these services. But I want you to consider one other thing that's a new idea. And it's also newly allowable as of 2015. They launched it for 2016. Is USAC and the E-rate program realized that there was a need for managed services. And if you haven't thought about managed services, I would highly recommend you look into it. And so the government will now actually pay for you to have someone come in and manage and take care of all of the headache and complexities that go along with managing a Wi-Fi infrastructure. And the reason that I mention that is because not everyone out there that sells equipment and all the hardware that is E-rate eligible and these solutions, not everyone provides managed services. It's a unique touch, and I like to call it like white glove, because especially if you don't have the time to get your staff and everyone up and certified, or if you don't have the time or manpower or resources for y'all to get the head count to support a WLAN infrastructure, then you can rely and lean on someone that's a partner to do that for you. So some of the things to keep in mind that, you also can either lease your equipment or buy it in a capital outlay. So there's some unique ways for you to approach the business and building out your Category 2 infrastructure and all of those internal connections. So when you get ready to do your bid, be prepared, know what it is that you need and what you want. Really make sure you've done your due diligence in thinking about that infrastructure. Have the questions, which we're going to provide you some to look at here in just a second. Have the questions to be able to really formulate what it is that you're looking for in that partner and what it is that you're trying to do for your classroom environment and for the facilitator. One of the things that is really important to remember too, when you're looking at the 470 and knowing that it has to be out on the street for 28 days, it only has to be on the street for 28 days, but you can have it out there longer. So don't feel like you are pressured to have to keep your bid there 28 days, and on the 29th day you have to have a decision made and you have to go file for what it is that you need to, whatever vendor that you select. And that goes back to that whole idea of the concept of maybe taking your time on that 470 and thinking about getting it out there sooner than later and really do an evaluation. Take that time to have people come in and demonstrate their equipment, because I have seen more times than not in working with schools throughout my career that our teams or our sales teams would go in and they would be in a down select environment, and there was someone else that was a competitor that was the chosen product that they wanted. But as soon as they saw those products work alongside each other, side by side, they would make a different decision. So thinking about some ways that you can really be due diligence with what you're doing in your decision-making process with this opportunity for this funding is something for you to take in mind. Now, knowing what to ask, this is this list of questions that we talked about here in the beginning, and really making sure that you do that due diligence to really think about what it is and know your timelines. Don't wait till the last minute. That's probably one of the ways that you feel like you're rushed into making that decision. And so I think one of the things that's important is there's plenty of time right now. Lots of time to still do the right thing and getting your bid out there. Get with the consultant who does application consultant. And if y'all need a list of those, we have a list of all of the consultants in the U.S., so we can give that to you. There's some really great ones in the state of California. Get someone on board to help you get you through the process easier. And also make sure that you know, how do you want to go about this? Do you have the staff and the capability to manage the solution in the system on your own? Or would it be probably best for you to get with someone who can help you through the process for the next 5 years and help you with the changes and the evolution of what's going to be taking place? And the good thing about that is that you always will have someone that you can lean on, and so it's not always on your shoulders when you're having to make decisions on how to best make your network work. These are some of the great areas where I tell everybody they need to go and take a look. And there's one on here that I always joke that maybe someone should send them an email and let them know that they need to send some money to HiDef 360, because I'm always telling everybody to go and log on to E-Rate Central, and they don't pay me to tell them anybody about them. But subscribe to their weekly update or subscription, because it's free and it gives some really good information and updates as to what's going on in the E-Rate program, things to consider, any special webinars that are going to happen. Obviously, most everyone probably already signs up for subscription to the USAC site, where it gives you also additional information. But I find that the E-Rate Central gives you an actually very good look in the spin to how you look at what the government is trying to say, and it's not so much legalese. So really good information there. So with that, I want to turn it over to Daryl. So he is the general manager over at CapData. And I think that what you're going to have to hear from him really ties in keenly to all the stuff that I just talked about. And the great thing is that he is right here in everyone's backyard. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Great job on explaining how E-Rate works. Always learn something from you. Thank you very much. I just want to take a couple minutes and go over our company, CapData Corp. You might see up in the upper right-hand corner, CapData. That's our kind of our nickname. We've been around for a long time. We've been around for about 32 years now. Founded in 1984. We've been headquartered in the Sacramento area at that entire time. We work in a variety of industries. That includes government, large corporations, and small business. And of course, education is big now for us. We operate with some core values that I think separates us. I think that's why we've been so successful for so long. We have these core values that you can see at the lower left of the slide here. But what we try to do is we try to do the right thing. We try to be that right partner that Holly was talking about. We try to take care of our customers from the outset of when we first talk all the way through to completed project. We are constantly trying to keep good communication and quality work being done the whole time. Now, I want to point out something on this first slide, the lower right-hand corner. The Sacramento Business Journal, every year, and they did it in June, they came out with their IT consulting list. And they list in a few different categories, actually 5 different ones. CapData Corp was recognized in 4 different ones, including being the #1 oldest IT consulting company in the Sacramento area. We're very proud of that. #5 in government work, #8 in revenue, and #10 overall out of a total of 26 companies that responded. So we're very excited about that. And we're all set up, ready to work. Next slide, please. Well, how can we help? Well, first of all, we're ready to go with E-rate, with working with High Def 360, and we have our SPIN number, and we're all ready to rock and roll. But how we help is in the areas that are listed here on the left-hand column. We can do those managed services that Holly talked about, that white glove service where we take care of everything for you, from design all the way to continued ongoing support month to month. We're big in wireless, switching, routing. Security is huge for us. We're even a repair center authorized by HP and some other manufacturers as well. We can deploy your LAN and WAN. We can support it. We even have an IT consulting contract which allows us to do IT staffing services. So if you need temporary hours for a network engineer, we can provide that. Or we can do the managed services where we're responsible for keeping your network up and going. The right-hand side there, we are California's certified small business. That makes sense to some folks. We often do the state small business option, which the state uses, and we have CMAS contracts, including an IT consulting contract that I mentioned, one for repairs, and we have over 60 of the top IT brands on our CMAS contract. If you look below, you'll see some of those, and these are the ones that are specialty involved with the E-rate program that we'll be working with all of you. The Hewlett-Packard Enterprise Silver Partner is one we're extremely proud of. You have to meet certain metrics to get there, and we did it, and it provides us tremendous resources to support our customers. And Hewlett-Packard has bought Aruba, so they're part of that as well. Then you see some of the other manufacturers listed to the right there. We're big in all those, but we have plenty more that we're working with. And so whatever you might need, whether it be off the E-rate side or if it be off the CMAS side, maybe it doesn't qualify for E-rate, we can provide that for you. Next slide, please. Well, how do you connect with us? Well, here you go. We have some email addresses listed here: Jenny, Julie, Manny, and Wes. And one of the things I didn't point out to you before, but we can help in the early stages. We can do design. We work closely with the manufacturer partners like HP and so on. And we have a solution specialist on our staff that is very good at describing and doing design for all your E-rate solutions. At the bottom there, you can see where we're involved with social media: Twitter, LinkedIn, our own blog, and of course, Facebook. Of course, right in the middle there, www.capdata.com. You can go there anytime, and you can even contact us through the website. Well, that's all I have for now. I just want to thank everyone for being on today, and I'm going to pass it back to Janet, who will close our webinar today.
Thank you, Daryl, and thank you, Holly, and thank you, audience, for participating today in this morning's webinar, E-rate Season 2017. Ready for it? We will be making the webinar recording available on YouTube and the CapData website. We will also be making the presentation available via PDF format. We appreciate your time and wish you all a happy holiday season. Thank you.